Welcome to episode 317 of Ask MandR Productions, the series where I answer your questions. If you have a question or topic for next week's episode, leave it in the comment section below. Hit the like button while you're down there. And let's get right into it with our first question of the week from Danny here, who says, could you see LEGO using the new Imperial Commando helmet molds for clone commandos? I personally took the helmet and put it on a clone body with a Paz Vizsla armor piece, and it looks essentially like what I would expect from an official figure. And would you look at that? I happen to have a custom clone commando and the Imperial Commando right next to me. Let's take a look. So while these helmets at first glance definitely have some similarities, I still think they are unique enough to warrant LEGO making their own helmet for the Clone Commando. And so I think when they do eventually, hopefully, make Clone Commandos, it would get its own helmet. And part of that reason is this particular one here I have is Scorch, and his helmet would require a completely different process to create the look for it because it just has so much gray on the top of the helmet. You would basically have to mold instead of print, like Clone Customs printed it, I think. LEGO wouldn't print it the same way, and so they couldn't accomplish the same look without just molding it to look like this. And so actually I feel like it might take two molds to do the Commandos because you would need one that has a bunch of gray and then one that's just the same but all white. And while I guess the Commandos are technically Clone Troopers, I feel like outside of Clone Troopers, LEGO generally has a very good track record of making helmets for things that need helmets. If we look at some kind of random characters like Enfys Nest or Fennec Shand, like both of them in single sets got a unique helmet that has only ever been in that set, and it's been years, and they're probably not coming in another set ever again, right? And there's other characters like that throughout the history of LEGO Star Wars. Even though I think in my review I said that you could have maybe gotten away with using like a standard Mandalorian helmet for this guy, like because again it's similar, but like there's obviously a unique shape to it. It's got its own unique elements that can really only be created by creating a unique helmet, and I think the same really does apply at the end of the day to the Republic Commandos. And so I highly doubt they would end up reusing this mold for a Republic Commando. Dylan says, will you ever consider building a LEGO Grogu army of 200 plus and then throwing them all in a beach and shouting, "Be free, my younglings"? This is an oddly specific question, and I gotta say, I've never considered and probably never will consider building a Grogu army. I know there's one guy out there, shout out Wyatt, on TikTok and on Instagram, and I think also on YouTube, but he has been building an army of Plankton, like the LEGO SpongeBob Plankton piece from the mid-2000s.
What you see in front of you is just a little over 2,000, so that means we have enough LEGO Planktons to fill up over 3 more of these giant LEGO base plates. We also have these magnificent plankton poles that go up to my ceiling.
He builds them into pyramids. He does all sorts of random crap with them. I imagine he is what you want me to be, but I'm not him. I'll never be him.
You could tell it's just a 501st Battle Pack walker that I shoved some planktons on, but that's okay.
Also, that's either totally littering or would absolutely suck to pick up out of the sand for like half an hour after you threw them all over the place and tried to track them down. And what if they went in the water? Like, big problems. Next question from TF Cuber says, what is the LEGO Star Wars 3-in-1 Super Pack that you wish you had the most? So last week at Rod's house, he had the 2-in-1 Ghost Pack. I think that set is cool. I also think the ATTE one with the homing spider droid and the Corbin Alliance tank droid from 2013, that is just top tier. There's also another one from 2013 that includes all 3 of the original like 501st sets. So we had the Z95 Headhunter, the Captain Rex Bark Speeder set, and the ATRT from 2013. I think that's the one I would have to have, just obviously with my ties to the 501st like Clone Trooper set and just my love for the 501st. Yeah, that would be the one, although the ATTE from episode 2 is a close second. These older, rarer ones I would love to have more of, very specifically ones from 2005. There are some really rare, really hard to find, hardly documented old packs like this, like one with the General Grievous wheel bike, one with Anakin Starfighter and Vulture Droid. I think some of them have like a box like this where it's like one of the sets and then the poly bag next to it or something. Like if I can find pictures of them, I'll put them on, but like there's some really rare, obscure ones out there that I think I would love to have that it's just like, you can't just go purchase them though. I'll probably never try to chase down all of these just because there's so many of them and they're so expensive, and it's redundant because I already own all of these sets and now I just have them sealed and I can never do anything with them just so I could look at them in plastic. JPO3 wants to know which downscaled TIE fighter is the best one, the one from 2024 that's going to be in the 2-in-1 Rebuild the Galaxy pack with the X-Wing, or the one from 2021. And so we'll put price aside for now. If I end up doing a comparison video, maybe we'll get more into that, but just design-wise, which TIE fighter do I think is better? That original TIE fighter had an issue, and that is that like on the very front of the wing, it had like multicolor parts for the ball joint. One was light gray, one was dark gray, when they both really should have been light gray, and that issue has not been fixed at all in the newer TIE Fighter. I think you can make a pretty solid argument that the windscreen area of the cockpit is a massive improvement and looks way better on the newer TIE Fighter versus the 2021 TIE Fighter. A big place where this newer TIE Fighter, though, takes a step back is on top of the cockpit, where instead of the plate that they would have on it that's printed, they now have like this weird split up design with multiple stickers. And honestly, it's hard to tell in these pictures because we don't have any perfect angles yet. They seem to not really want to show you exactly what the top of that TIE Fighter looks like, but it looks like it's broken up and comparatively very ugly. So I think the top of the TIE Fighter here is going to be a pretty big downgrade, which really sucks. And then we get to the wing design. The wings, I gotta call a wash. I think they've definitely changed the design with the new one. There's some very small elements that are a bit different, but generally it's about the same. It's not something that you're really going to look at and notice a huge difference, a huge improvement, let's say, or a huge downgrade. I think it's kind of a wash. I would lean towards 2021 being better, and I can't believe I'm saying that. JB Awesome says, why do you think they changed the box size for the Ambush on Mandalore Battle Pack? So as you can see, Battle Packs have come in many different sized boxes. I believe 8 is the correct number, but I might be missing one. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I have them all, though. So we'll start with 2007, which is slightly larger than what we consider to be normal battle pack box size nowadays. The first 4 battle packs came in a box this size, and then in 2009 they introduced a box that was slightly smaller. They also like redid a lot of packaging in 2009 just generally across the board and like got rid of a lot of box sizes, and so as part of doing that, the battle packs got slightly smaller. And so this is the box size that became normal for a long time and was with most sets. In 2011, while also released in a normal size box, they did a bit of a test run with like really small boxes. This applied to a lot of sets from a lot of themes, including battle packs, and they obviously still sold the regular size boxes in stores. I never even saw these smaller boxes in stores, and I've been an avid collector like since before they did this. Like I was there when it was happening, and it wasn't in my local stores from what I know, so you know, it wasn't everywhere, but they certainly did exist in a smaller size. Then in 2013 they actually changed things up for 1 year. They went to these like square boxes. It was really weird, generally not loved by the community. There was this, and then of course the Old Republic battle pack that came in this size box, but immediately following that for the next however many years until I guess 6 years until this battle pack, they went back to the normal battle pack box size in this one. This has ended up being the only set with a battle pack box that is this exact dimension, but I assume they did it so they could add the sliver that has Han Solo on there, and I assume if it was done in any other year as a remake, it wouldn't have had that and it would have been a normal battle pack box size. Then of course in 2020, the year after, we got the 501st like super battle pack essentially here, and then in 2024 we got the Clone Trooper and Droid super battle pack, but they made the box a little bit smaller than the 501st one. And then finally, the one you asked about, took a minute, the new Imperial Commando versus Mandalorian battle pack here, and this one is notably a different size than what we're used to. You know, you would think this battle pack would come out and be this size box, but it's not, and I don't like that. I like having consistency across a lineup's packaging, so battle packs specifically, I wish they were all this size. Obviously they are not, and it's a fun collectible to do. Like I like having one of each of all the different box sizes, but it would be cool if they were all very consistent with their box size too, and I would prefer that, but that's just not how it is. So this box size was a big surprise. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward right now, and we're in a weird place with that box sizing. I'm very curious what it will look like. You know, what's the next one? Because that's what matters, right? It has historically been proven that they do a one-off from time to time with the size of a battle pack box. But the question is, does this become the new norm for battle packs? And that is something I just don't have an answer to, especially because history tells us things change. I don't think I mentioned it. I had grabbed it to do it, but they are the same size. Like these battle pack boxes are the same size. So this isn't like a new size that we've never seen before, but it is a size that they tried out before and clearly didn't work, and they immediately reverted back to the normal rectangle that everyone is used to and I guess likes, although the size and shape of the box is not particularly relevant to like the quality of the product. It's just something that people are used to. So not a new size, but certainly a change up compared to what we're used to. If I can think of like one decent reason to have done this, it's that like long term you plan to do more battle packs like this, and so you're gonna, have a lot of these and a lot of these just over the next decade or whatever, and so you want them both to kind of look the same, and so having them both be square shapes, like forward facing instead of rectangles, like maybe the 501st and like the regular battle pack boxes are, that maybe makes sense to me as a reason to do it. The only other suspicion I have as to why the box would be squared instead of rectangular is that they wanted it to look better on the front. The set would not have presented as nicely if it had to be elongated, Maybe they just would have made it bigger on the box. I guess it would have been fine, but maybe they thought it just presented better in a square box. I don't know. There's just a few different reasons that I can think of, and those are them. And also, there's your history lesson for the week on the size of battle pack boxes over the years. I feel like I know too much about this topic. Coda says he recently finished Star Wars Rebels and is looking to buy a Blind Kanan minifigure. Should I wait for LEGO to make another, or should I just buy the 2017 Phantom? You should definitely just buy the 2017 Phantom. I think what people are going to realize as the years drag on for LEGO Star Wars is that there are going to be a lot of figures that are just not going to be remade. There's just no reason to remake them, and it's not the fault of LEGO. It's not the fault of the fans. It's just a fact of life that not everything can be remade in 5-year intervals forever, and so I think Blind Kanan will be a victim of that. There's just no really good reason or spot for him to fit into a set, in my opinion, in the next decade, unless they bring him into some Disney Plus short series for a minute, in one of those Tales of the Jedi-esque series, maybe, but other than that, where are we going to see Blind Kanan? Buy the figure, do yourself a favor. You can play the waiting game forever. They're probably not going to make another Blind Kanan at any point in a reasonable time frame that we can expect. AMP Brick Studio says, would you recommend the Brickworld full pass for all 5 days for a non-influencer and someone who wants to get the full experience? So yeah, Brickworld, or LEGO conventions in general, but let's, we'll specify with Brickworld here, usually has 2 public days, which anyone can come to for $10, $15, $20, and they come in for the public hours of 10 to 5 or whatever, and you can look around at all the mocks. But they also offer private passes for the full week of the convention, where you get to go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you can be there all hours of the day. So the price of that pass is usually somewhere around $100, and so when you think about it, the extra time you get is more than worth the extra money, I think. Plus, you get a goodie bag a lot of the times, and you might be entered in to win some raffles, and so I think there's a lot of value in that. I also think you're not an influencer, but these conventions aren't just influencers or YouTube creators or Instagram people. A lot of it can just be people in lugs that just do LEGO as their hobby. And that's where all of these conventions frankly came from, is exactly those types of people. And so now you're seeing them. Now I've been going to these conventions since 2011, but now that you see it on YouTube, right? And a lot of what you see documented by my vlogs and stuff, it's been happening forever. It's not much different than the convention would have been 10 years ago. Just, some people have cameras now, that's honestly, the conventions aren't that much different, but I do think it's really worth the money for the experience. I guess part of it is who do you know? If you don't have friends that are going and you're all alone, it's a little bit weird and odd to be there the whole time if you have nothing to do or don't know anyone. Now, that's not to say that people aren't very inviting and you can't make friends, because you totally can, and you should try that. And, if you're interested in getting out of your comfort zone, that can be something that might be a good time for you. But there's also the cost of the hotel, and Brickworld specifically is at a very, very nice convention center. The hotel for the weekend might cost you $1,000, or for the week, might cost you $1,000, unless you're splitting it with someone, in which case it's going to be cheaper. Or if you go to another hotel offsite or an Airbnb, could be cheaper, but it's still much more than the $20 for the day if you live locally. You know what I mean? There's just added cost there. The short of my answer is I would absolutely recommend it to anyone that wants to try it. I don't think you lose out on a lot by trying it if you hate it. It's still a LEGO convention. You know what you're getting into, right? Especially if you've already been to the public day of one. It's basically the same thing, just with less people during the night. Darth says, what is up with LEGO's weird relationship with Target? Target gets sets sooner and gets more sets than other stores that sell LEGO, and they are the only store that LEGO will give you points for uploading a receipt online. So I'm sure, as far as it pertains to the VIP points, there's some weird, collaboration that they've done. Maybe LEGO wants to find out what types of customers are buying from Target stores, the sets off the shelf, and that's why they did the VIP thing with Target, is to kind of test that and see what's up. Maybe they'll expand that to other stores in the future, who knows? But I'm sure there's some back-end marketing reason for the VIP point thing. A lot of people might not know. We talked about it last week, but the Lego Star Wars June 1st sets in America are both sold at Lego, but they're also sold at Target and on Target.com. And so if you're having trouble finding like Captain Rex's Y-Wing or this Ambush on Mandalore set, like they're all on Target.com available to buy today. They'll ship to your house, be there tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Like they're not that hard to find if you know where to look. Essentially, like retailers in Europe like to change things over earlier in the summer than retailers in America. At least this is what I've heard from other people. And so like when you see sets that are releasing in Europe on June 1st and not in America on June 1st, like that's apparently the reason why. Now I think it's a stupid reason why. Just send them out and make them change it, whatever. So I think at some point Target comes to Lego, Lego comes to Target, and they're like, hey, we noticed you're going to be releasing these on June 1st everywhere else. What if we carry them in America so that people can still buy them, and they'll buy them exclusively from us and also from Lego? But you know, generally we want to get people to our stores, and so this is something that'll drive people to our stores, you know, something like that. And maybe Target pays them extra for that ability. Maybe they don't. I don't know how that whole end of the deal would work. What I have noticed though is like all these new Star Wars sets are on the end cap, and I believe that retailers, or rather companies, pay for that end cap space. So maybe Lego paid for that end cap space, and that's part of the deal or something. And so that's why all those Captain Rex's Y-Wings and things are on the end cap, and there's so many of them. You know, I imagine that's part of it, right? But Target is not the only store that gets sets early. Walmart also sometimes gets special access to sets where they'll have, you know, maybe the Minecraft sets on December 1st for sets that are supposed to come out on January 1st. And this is like not like sets showing up at a store early and being put out on shelves early. This is like them actually collaborating to have a product early at a store on purpose and actually advertising it. I think there's just some sort of deal between the stores, and I, you know, feel like that's a pretty normal thing, and I hope they keep doing stuff like that because I think it's cool. But I also at the same time think that they need to do a better job of communicating it, because I've gotten so many comments saying I can't find Captain Rex's Y-Wing anywhere. I went to Walmart and they don't have anything, and I'm like, well, Walmart's not gonna have it for 2 months. They just need to do a lot better job with their communication with the community. They've never been good at that, so big surprise. But yeah, it's something that would be nice if they communicated to everyone very clearly, but you know, I'll try. Master Brickwork says, with the UCS AT-AT retiring at the end of the year, it opens up another slot for another $850 UCS set. Any ideas of what the next $850 set could be? Just because one retires doesn't mean another is always going to replace it. Obviously, we have cases where that does happen. I don't necessarily think this UCS AT-AT is going to be one of those cases. And so I feel like, you know, they have the Falcon out right now. It's also the same price. Like, do they really need to bring in another one immediately? Probably not. I really think the sail barge at $500 is kind of its pseudo replacement. It's the same concept for a set, a really big displayable model with a bunch of figures that can fit inside of it. And so, yeah, it's not the same exact price, but it's essentially the same type of set. And so I feel like that's what's happening with the sail barge and the AT-AT here come the end of the year. If anything were to replace it around $850, there's very few things. I don't even think a Death Star would touch it, because I've kind of discussed this before, but to have a Death Star with an exterior and an interior just makes it so heavy, so big, and I just don't think that can happen. I just wouldn't expect another $850 UCS set super soon. Would it be cool? You know, potentially. I don't know what they would do for $850 really. Lego's lineup is pretty fluid. Like they, you know, bring price slots in, take them out, change things around all the time. And so yeah, it's just not a one-to-one thing. Next question from Dom says, since we got an update on the Phase 2 Captain Rex, do you think we'll get an updated Phase 1 Captain Rex? Boy, would I love some Phase 1 Lego Star Wars Clone Troopers. It would be so refreshing compared to the hodgepodge of Phase 2 that they have done. I really don't know why, and I think that picture that I showed is a really good example of how many clones they've done, and they've only gotten a couple of Phase 1s in there. I don't really know what the infatuation is with the Phase 2 Clone Troopers for them, but there is a bit of an issue when it comes to the Phase 1 Clone Troopers, and that's like the mixed armor set. We've kind of discussed this in the past, so seeing how that's handled might be interesting, because like a Phase 1 Captain Rex shouldn't look like an Episode 2 Captain Rex. It should look like a Clone Wars Captain Rex, but they don't differentiate that now. But if they went and did some of the right Phase 1 figures, it would be a very welcome change from a lot of the Phase 2, frankly, garbage that they have been putting out. Anyway, if you have a question or topic for next week's episode, maybe about some of the new sets that just got leaked, leave them down in the comments section below. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed, and subscribe for more Ask MandR. See ya!